There's a box. And your job is to check this box. And you don't know how you're going to do it. You don't know how it all works. But I'm trying to get my audio straight, and it'd be great if I knew that you guys could hear me. Welcome to a new thing. We're just going to have some fun tonight. Going to do some call-in. Normally we would meet in an Airship, which is a Zoom call, and we figured we'd just try this format out where we kind of do some call-in stuff. So I'm going to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. And yeah, I think I need to just keep my mouth right here. Welcome to nighttime. Oh, thank you, Brent. Appreciate that. So, first of all, I love radio. Second of all, I think you guys probably still want. I think you guys still probably want to like see what's going on, and so we have both tonight. And I haven't told anyone that yet, but I wanted the Airship to know. Everyone in the green room right now. There's a room that's green. And you guys are actually going to. We can do video too. So. I just realized, though, that I cannot show my video and do that, too. We're getting lost in the details here. Welcome to this format. Welcome to the Airship. If you guys have any questions for the Oracle, something that Lisa just invented that, honestly, at first I was kind of like, oh, but then I slept on it and I was like, what a beautiful idea. If you have questions for the Oracle, it's a great opportunity to ask. I will pass them along to the Oracle and convey the answer that she gave me. If you're wondering what the Oracle looks like, stay tuned. We will be, revealing the secrets as we go. So maybe the best way to do that is if you're not a patron, you can join Patreon for free. There's some old friends, Autumn in the house. Really great to see you. You guys can join Patreon for free if you are currently not supporting me with some what used to be real currency, let's be honest. If you're not supporting me with 10 discs that have been stamped with mythological presidents, or, bills with Village Verner on it, otherwise known as George Washington, you can still join Patreon, keep up with things. There's a chat in there. There's a lot of wonderful people. They say things. They say all kinds of things, and we're gonna do that tonight. And I do not see any hands up in the green room. You guys cannot see the green room right now, but I can. I have a secret view into the green room. So just an FYI to anyone in there that there's no rush, there's no pressure at all. Actually, I think we probably, I'll wait for that too. So yeah, if anyone does have something that they want to chime in, you're welcome to do that, but I don't want you to feel obligated to. Welcome to Wednesday evening. There are 13 moons in 2025. A lot happens each moon. Things are going so fast right now. The time dilation is just ludicrous speed. It's at ludicrous speed. Everything's changing. Spring's returned. The daisies of fear that you hear people frolicking are returning. The election is clearing and the chemtrails can return. They come back again. I was trying to tell a new friend on Substack that the chemtrails are a hallucination, and you can't say that in public. You can't say that in public because everyone insists that you think that they're just crazy. And no matter how hard you try, you cannot explain to them what you mean. You cannot convey that, no, I didn't say chemtrails aren't real. I said that chemtrails are hallucinated. You're the one who is being kind of a bigot. I mean, I'm saying this playfully, but you're kind of being a bigot about reality. You're a realityist. And you've got this one central idea, and in that idea is, came this thought that hallucinations aren't real. And I did not check that box. I did not agree. At no point did I say, hey, are you a robot? And I'm like, no. And it's like, do you accept that hallucinations aren't real? I didn't say that. I've had other people tell me that hallucinations aren't real. There was Green Eyes in Chickamauga. This bloodiest river in the South. Ran through the Cherokee territory and one of the strongholds of Turtle Island. And the North came down and set that bitch on fire. And in setting that thing on fire, one of the bloodiest battles came through this place we were talking about, this where a mountain comes to a point, and there's a tower there. It's Lookout Mountain, but there's a tower. Inside that tower, this is a tower inside the mountain. There's a tower outside the mountain, don't get me wrong. But if you go inside that mountain, there's a tower inside the mountain. It's a tower made out of air. It's a flute made out of dripping water. It's a waterfall. It's Ruby Falls. And it's a long walk to get to the falls. You're skirting your way through the cavern. It's been modernized now. There's nice handrails. There's some safety equipment. Lawyers have had their way with it. And they've set up beautiful lights there. I haven't been there in a long time. Quite frankly, who knows what's going on. I remember that it was like $86 to park for like a minute there. Okay, maybe it wasn't that much, but they were really, really making some money. And why would they not? They are living in a tower inside a tower. There is a spine there, and that spine has go juice in it, and that's Ruby Falls. And it's one thing to think about things as waterfalls, but now that you're older, now that you're a taller child, now that you're taller, you get to imagine further back. So when you go to the Grand Canyon, you get to picture 60,000 years ago what it looked like when you were here. You don't like doing that, so you're like, well, it wasn't me who was here, it was someone else who was here, and then you're okay, we can talk about it again. It's fine now. And this is where hallucination comes in. We have to insist the hallucination, is not real. But hallucination could be a more accurate picture. If you design a house on paper, you're hallucinating a frickin' house. You're hallucinating it. You're using the power of a straight edge. You're using Gaia's two tools, the compass and the square. She's the Masons. She's the Freemasons. Gaia, she started the whole Freemason thing. That's why they wear little what do you call those things? Man, I cannot think of what you call those things. So, like when you clean things, not that I would ever do that, you would normally put something around your waist and clean stuff with it. And that's Guy's little inside joke knocking at you there. But hallucination, why are there more chemtrails in the city? Because the anxiety is hallucinated there. The anxiety has to be there. If you picture yourself traveling through a blood vessel and all you're doing is just looking at other red blood cells, there's not much to that. But if you were traveling past the spleen, traveling past the liver, you would see different sorts of chemicals, different hallucinations that would show you're in a different part of the body, and they would be informative. You would know, oh, I'm down here in the butt crack. I'm in Magabama. I'm in Magabama. And you would recognize that by all the signs that you see. In New Jersey would, probably be the armpit. Let's be honest. Turtle Island, turtles got armpits, and they're great. You know, turtle armpits are really cute, actually. You can stick your pinky inside the armpit and the little scales, and then he starts moving around because it tickles. But he's not going to tell you that. Turtles, they have a pact. They're like, we are not going to admit that we're ticklish. If people find out, we're ticklish, there's going to be a problem. So, anyway, these are some things. So what are chemtrails? I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm gonna tell you this. I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe me. I'm going to tell you this. I don't want to convince you. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I have the best idea in the house. I don't. I'm also going to tell you this. This is karaoke. I'm going to fucking give it a shot. And I got a good fucking song, man. I've been practicing some Def Leppard on chemtrails. I'm the Def Leppard of chemtrails karaoke. And not everyone's going to be into what I have to say because I use the word hallucination. I use the word hallucination because this is important. It's important. Guys, the worst way to advertise that you are spraying particulates into the air discreetly, that this is a secret, and that the worst way to do that would be to do it during the day over a large population. That's I'm saying if that's your goal. Number 2, if your goal is to advertise that you are spraying articulates over the city, if your goal was to advertise that, you would do it during the day where there's a lot of people. At no point have I told you that we've talked about this. There's an underground layer. There's 13 pregnant bunny Ivanka Trumps. She's a clone. 13 moons. I mean, the moon child thing is lined up. All the babies are given birth at once in the ceremony. All the Luciferians are wrapped around in their bathrobes. They wear black bathrobes. And they're waiting for the birth, and the first child that comes out and the last child that comes out, they are placed in a ring and given weapons, and whichever one kills the other babies is Lord of the Luciferians. He's not the Black Pope. He's the anti-Black Pope. He's like the Black Pope times like 3,000. Those guys, if they want to let you know that they're doing this, they're going to do it during the day. You're going to see it during the day, and you're going to see it where there's a lot of people. What's difficult is understanding why they would want you to see it. Again, this is my karaoke. I'm not talking you into it. Because when I start to formulate that, I lead to the Osiris cosmology that the hallucination is always a reflection of something in reality, but we're hallucinating it because that's how we render reality. We render reality this way. So everything is hallucination. Some hallucinations are better than others, and that's what we call real. And if you and I are building a interactive morphing MMORPG, then as soon as each of us see and recognize that there's a tree here at this GPS coordinate, that tree is sort of easier to render. It's like farming crystals. If you don't know this, for some reason, the first time you farm a new crystal, it becomes easier everywhere else. This is a weird thing about morphic resonance that, quite frankly, I don't understand. So the hallucination hypothesis, it's not a hypothesis. It's not even out of the realm of possibility. So how would this work in chemtrails? Because chemtrails are real because everyone talks about them. That's all it takes for me. That's all I need. The fact that you're talking about it means they're real to me. They're real to me because they have a hallucinatorial matter. There's a a part of matter that we can go visit, and we can say, look, here's the chemtrail, and it can be a topic, it could be a thought, it could be all these things. So to me, that's already real. Guess what? We're done. I don't need objectivity, so I don't need to go past this. So I'm already good. But I don't mind explaining to you this more. I don't mind wrapping it up more. But I need you to know I'm done. I don't need to prove anything. I don't need you to prove anything. I am open to change, whatever's needed. So the hallucination, everything's hallucination. Some are better than others, but every hallucination is informatory. No one would waste triangles on pointless gibberish. No one would waste triangles on nothing at all. It requires a lot of calories to hallucinate something. A lot of calories. You know that if you are really just on the crystal meth train, you begin to, not just this, any kind of visionary, demonic visuals here typically begin auditorily. The first thing is auditory. After that, they begin to see shadows. This is why I brought up Chickamauga so long ago in this ride. I brought up Chickamauga, the Bloody Creek, because there is green eyes there, the spirit of something that had a rough time, the turtle's living soil, the fighter, the white blood cell, a Cherokee, released from the shell to protect the land from this other white cell that came from another George in another place. The green eyes are a mythology that is everywhere. It's not just in Civil War lore, it's in the Cherokee lore. And you find the Cherokee lore and the Civil War lore to be quite different. The Civil War lore is ghost. It's lake ghosts, where ghosts are tracers. And everyone was describing ghosts as apparitions because we finally had the calories to render ghosts on the screen. Really, I think what we were doing, I'm sorry, just here's my karaoke, but I think that we were fantasizing that we're seeing ghosts, and that we fantasize that we see the apparition because we don't know how to explain aura. We don't even use the word apparition. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, we talked fancy back then, but we're not all like apparition. It's plasma, we don't have electricity. This is new stuff to us. So, frankly, we're doing good. Mirages and chemtrails are the same. These are utilitarian hallucinations that are indicative of something that's necessary, indicative of something that has truth to it. But it can only be rendered so far. It can only reach so much until it gets too dangerous and it has to stop. And here's what I mean. Again, this is just my karaoke. After those babies fight it out and the new Prince of Darkness is kissed, the Pope has to kiss him on the butt and stuff, and everyone has to watch it. And then Kathy O'Brien comes in and she has to shave her cat and everyone has to have sex with her, and then, all those things, and Gloria Vanderbilt comes in, and then Anderson Cooper, God bless his soul, comes in his little hot tub. He does his little thing. After all that's done, the fact is that if they're trying to slowly build some sort of dome or slowly poison us, they just put it in our food, man. We just put it in our food. You could, I personally think there's a sonic device that would set off every airbag in America. I think you could do that. I mean, everything's standardized through safety features, so you can't really have a car unless it has this computer in it. And even if you take out the computer, you can't have a car unless it has these exploding airbags that are inside of every seat. Michael Hastings, I think probably got nailed by this. It's. I don't think we use it a lot, and that's what people have a hard time imagining is why would you have a technology and not use it? And it's because it's elite technology. Guys, they're not afraid of commonplace technology. If you can go into Walmart and buy something, you're not gonna buy a sonic cannon in there. You're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to buy a microwave gun, we have myths about what's dangerous. A cop pulls you over and says, "Do you have any weapons in the car?" I'm always like amazed by this because as I go through my car, I'm like, well, I've got a jack. I could fucking fuck you up, dude, with this jack. I mean, look at this. It's just a fucking club with a piece of sharp metal on the end, you know? I mean, geez. And then I got a bottle. Oh my God, I got a bottle jack. Look at that. Here's a knife I use. I got weapons everywhere. And then, guys, you've seen me without a shirt. Come on. I can't register these things in every state. I can't do that kind of paperwork. I can't do it. Oh, we got a hand up. This is great. Let's take a. I hope you're not bored. Yesenia, you're sort of like, man, that was just. Let's talk about some real stuff. But let's see if this works. I'm gonna go to the phones. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna go to the phones. Someone's got. I think it might be Lisa. I'm gonna mute you, Lisa. There we go. And then I think everyone else is ready. Here we go. Yesenia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. You're first caller. I'm going to call you a caller. Hope that's okay.
Awesome.
You're more
Perfect.
of a Zoomer, but yeah.
Do you want me to turn off the camera?
It actually doesn't matter. I'm not broadcasting any of us right now because I wanted to make sure you guys knew, but people might actually. I'm on the fence. Let me know in the chat what you guys think, but I do have some cool things. Here's like one view, so now people can see you, and let's try this. You guys are on camera. There, go ahead, Yesenia. What you got?
Well, like speaking about like hallucinations, I see chemtrails now, and since that let's say that change of posture of like understanding, okay, I'm maybe experiencing anxiety, or maybe I'm tapping into a collective that feels anxious. It's it's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant. Like even the way that you describe the car right now, like for instance, the key battery has to be attached to my key in order for my car to turn on.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that's built into the car, just like, you know, we have our own safety features in our own physiology. And it's just interesting how like maybe the alertness of chemtrails is called to dive deeper, not to just wail at, they're gonna kill us. And yeah, that was a belt, that was red belt. But when I step in through the portal of compassion, I can see it differently. So how do you maintain that posture, like when you see the chemtrails? How do you, what's that self-soothe? How do you like talk, that self-talk that you practice? Like how do you do that?
Yeah. So to me, it might sound sort of more dark, but I know that what I see it's so much worse. Everything is so much worse than what I see. And I'm not talking about whether I'm an optimist or a pessimist. I could be in the shittiest mood, and I'm telling you, there's actually things that are even worse that I'm not tuned into right now. And it's not because I just don't notice them. It's because literally I am not capable. There's too much neuromelanin that is blacking out the amygdala, making that aware to me. And just as sometimes when you open your eyes, you can keep your eyes closed, but you just unsquint. It's the opposite of squinting. It's to de-squint, I guess we'll call it. And so you're just letting the tiniest sliver of light in because you're testing, well, do my eyes even work? Because I don't even want to try this. And then you're like, okay, so something's coming in. And then you're warning it that you're getting ready to rip the sheets off and it's time to get out of bed. But with your eyes, and there's going to be a lot of intensity, and you are actually going to secrete a lot of melanin in your epithelial layer to darken what's coming in. It's going to need time to tune up. Your eyes are adjusting, but it's not just your eyes. Your emotions are adjusting to what's there. when I see chemtrails, when I see people that see chemtrails, I see a much softer truth that is placed in front of a much harsher truth for the art of camouflage. The scarecrow is definitely scary. That's creepy as fuck, right? The wind is blowing. But behind the scarecrow, oh God, there's something fucking terrifying that's real. It's like a real thing there. And I build scarecrows precisely because I want to learn how to see them better. I want to learn to see things, and I use the scarecrow to hide my eyes, to shade my eyes, right? I place this over my eyes like this, and I shade the sun. So chemtrails would put the truth further away from me, which would make me feel better, which would give me enough calories, enough dopamine, literally. Enough dopamine would be secreted. The amygdala would allow more dopamine to be secreted in my eyes so I could render and see chemtrails. I'm actually trying to suggest to you that chemtrails mean that you have juice to see more. But it scares you to see more because it's terrifying. I didn't say it's terrifying, though, because it's full of terrorists. I said it's terrifying because, limbically speaking, it is terror full. It is full of input that is wonderfully terrible. Terrible. Terrible is actually not a bad word. I'm not going to fight you guys on it, but seriously, terrible it's an interesting. It's a whole other thing. So back to this. When I see someone see chemtrails, I see that someone has just bloomed. I don't mean that they're a newbie, by the way. It's not that at all. But it's just when it comes to certain things, they're using that as a crutch to distance themselves. I think the reptilians is the same thing. I'm terrified of reptilians, so I'm going to put them 5 million light years away because the reptilian is my id. The reptilian is the reflective entity that's living inside of me that is tired of the bullshit between the hindbrain and the forebrain. It's tired of the stupidity and the retardation and is sick of the fact that it is the only one that has its face in the wind as we're going full force, and it wants you to pay more attention. When you sense that and you're like, I don't want to be near that, you might create the reptilian because it is true. The hallucination is true. But all hallucinations are. There's nothing else. If we feel comfortable about what scares us, we are mastering yellow belt. We are mastering yellow belt. Even though you're in red, you are actually mastering yellow belt, which is how you end up bringing more energy to you. This is all about posture. You thank God we only have 33 vertebrae, man. Orca's 52. This fucker's, that's a lot of yoga. And if you can put all those in exactly the right tune, if you can twist them all just right, you're going to find enough torque to not only see the crystals of synchronicity, but to have the most potent hallucination. I didn't say the most accurate, but the most potent. I think potent is accurate, but the potency, I think, would probably look more like everything's a spider web. All of us are interconnected and angel dust of touching. And when I look at the angel dust and taste it on my tongue, it tastes like numbers. I taste 4. I taste 7. And you'd be like, dude, you need schizophrenia. You need schizophrenia because we're not doing that, says everyone else. We're not doing that. And this is you learning can you hold your hallucination? You're building a cosmology. You're building a cosmology, and you're going to look for the chemtrails because the chemtrails, in my opinion, are giving you more creative. There's more juice there. If chemtrails are anxiety, what's behind the anxiety? If you have all your ion channels open and you're living in a city, you are sucking all of that negative energy all the time. You're surrounded by it. You're regulated by it. You're a good person, which means no matter what the fuck happens, if you walk into a gas station and dudes are like holding up the gas station, your entire system is sending them healing vibes. You're regulating to them. You can't fucking help it. You're regulating to them. They need masks. They need to do things at night because, quite frankly, the energetic electrical power of all the witness, of all the red blood cells is just too strong to pull this shit off. So you need anonymity. You need threat of gun. You need anything you can to pull this off. So the failures, the cracks that you see on your windshield, they're not failures. They're not cracks. They're fissures that are waiting for you to say, why do I see chemtrails here? They're waiting for you to say, here's a big one. They're waiting for you to notice. I swear to fuck. You notice one morning that there's a fog, and it's the fog of cannibalism. You start to see that everyone is eating you. It sounds creepy, it sounds milky, it sounds dark, and it's not dark. It's not dark. You're tapping into the fact that you are a giant oak tree which has all this mycelium, and people are drinking you. They are drinking you, and you are drinking them. If you can do that in the same way that you tackle your chemtrails, you're not trying to obliterate the chemtrails. You're trying to hallucinate them better. And by hallucinating them better, you look at the hospital and you go, holy fuck, look at all the black spirits. Look at all the black shadows piled on top. They're hundreds of miles high. Look at this bar. Look at this bar right here on the corner, this shitty ass corner bar. It's full of these black shadow bodies that are just rag dolls laid on top of each other. And look, this giant bus comes through, just plows them down, and all the bodies go everywhere, and no one notices. And you're just seeing the city. You're just seeing the city. You're just seeing all the forgotten shells that are cast off, all the melanin, all the dark matter. It's dark matter. So it's unrequited us. And most of the unrequited us is going to be, I see chemtrails, I can't handle it. And you know what? Your amygdala is like, that's why I showed you chemtrails. Because I'm not going to show you the Quetzalcoatl. What do you mean the Quetzalcoatl? Yeah, you don't want to hear it. No, tell me. You're being digested by a giant fucking snake. That's what time feels like. That's what time is. Who wants to... Tell your kids about that, you know? I mean, they'd just be like, well, why the fuck do you have me? It's like, I don't know. It's fun. And honestly, you learn to find it fun. You learn to find it fun. We learn to find it fun that there are Jaguar psychopaths around. We fucking learn to find fun with that. We're just like, well, that's the way the Jaguar psychopath bounces. Like, that was probably like a thing that we said back then, you know? Is you just like, we invent humor, we invent denial, we invent sarcasm. Just and you think about how psychically powerful judo sarcasm is in a culture like that, where denial and black matter and all these things are part of the judo of it all. So the lies are creative acts. And when you recognize them as the creative paint, I think you don't feel bad. And when you don't feel ashamed, this is about when you see other people. Keep in mind, you're going to regulate to the bank robbers. So when you see someone else, even if they're like, I hate the fact that I lie, so I'm going to pretend I don't lie, you're going to think that is cute as fuck because look at the lie. What a great lie. You just lied to yourself about the fact you lied. I didn't know you could do that. And it's like, yeah, dogs can chase their own tails. I can lie to myself about the fact that I don't lie. It's the same thing.
Would you consider someone that sees chemtrails a targeted individual?
Yes. I think everyone that identifies with the label of conspiracy theorist is a targeted individual. And I think you're targeted by Gaia. I totally fucking know that it's like, no, it's the fucking CIA. And it is, where I'm not trying to take it away, but see, youth, and not you sitting here, but like you, the proverbial you, thinks that mankind is not natural, which means that if the CIA is the fingers of Gaia, you're going to like, that's not Gaia. This is this unnatural. Well, humans are so awful that they're able, and so weak-minded that they're able to defy nature it fucking self. And I'm just like, wow, that is impressive. How'd you do that? It's like, oh, we just had some butt sex, and now we're defiled. So now everything we do is unnatural. And so we unlocked the keys to unnaturalness, and all we had to do was butt fuck each other. And it's like, but this is the story we tell each other. We literally told each other that. It's like written in the parables of time that this is what happened. And you can't undo that. You can't undo that. And this is why there's no commandment about lying, because this is the creative act. So when you embrace your lies, you really enjoy the theater of it all, of everyone around. And when you enjoy the theater of all, something important's happening. The emotion that I'm saying you enjoy, although it will be more enjoyable, is not actually joy. What it is wealth. You are experiencing wealth and you are hallucinating it as joy in your environment. If you're in a DMV line and you're like, I can't believe that I'm in the DMV, and a little girl or a little boy on someone's shoulder looks at you, and you guys just go to town on dilation. You guys just open up your portals and you guys are just having a blast. You're hallucinating that. You're in the room and you're looking for your neurons to fire with your entitlement of how dilated you wish to be. And you just find the dilation wherever you at. That's all. You go home because you got a lot of dilation toys around. You got books. You got websites. You got mobile phones. You got couches. I got pants that are, quite frankly, just like really giant pants. It's like just walking around in a giant sheet. It's like a toga. This is all the things that I use to hallucinate more clearly. I hallucinate harder things easier in my home, don't I? We all do. So when you step into the comfortable place, if all of you were to sit up straight, the chemtrail would slowly shimmer into a rainbow, and then it'd go right back into a chemtrail. But it would shimmer into something, and you'd start to say, what is that? And here's what I did, because when I did it, I kind of laughed at myself because of how obvious, there's my karaoke again, but how obvious it was to me that this is advertising. Skywriting is just, that's on top. That's like, everyone knows that. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us that we have chemtrails. And I'll tell you something, the chemtrails are actually building the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome is going to be built. It is already there. All the shit that's floating in space is a dome of trash. And I do not know of one animal on this planet that does not burrow in its own trash. Gerbils are probably the last you've seen that do the same thing, but that's what they do, They build themselves up and they do stuff. We want an Iron Dome. We wanted a wall. I'm about to sneeze. So even those look natural to me. Even those feel. Look, I could freak out. I could. But when I was freaking out, I was like, no one should be gay. Oh, no one should be. Oh, we're losing our species. Everyone needs to have sex and make children and shit in a hole. And I did that. It's great. Man, it's great because I wanted to be dilated. That's why it's great. That's why. That's the only reason why. If you trust nature, nothing's under threat. If you trust nature, everything's thriving. It's thriving. It is off the chain. It is off the fucking chain how thriving this is. You can find a gnat, an ant, a fly, a bumblebee, a bird. I saw a barred owl today right outside. He was like, wait, you know why? He heard the live stream about all the mice in my house. He's like outside and I was like, hey, I heard you have some mice. I'm looking for some dilation. This is like 4 p.m. Nature is fine. Yeah, I know nature is fine because I live on a ski hill and then people are skiing every day. Those are humans. Those are nature. Those are deer with ankles. We are doing fine. Look at all the crazy shit. We have cups now that have screw lids that if you push, they seal. Then you can dump it over. Then you can turn it over. You can push it again. Then you can drink. We are fucking doing stuff. This is not a reverse engineered thing, which means the chemtrails are going to fit in line with everything else that we've ever seen. It was too hard for us to imagine the government was run by pirates. We needed LBJ to come in. We needed LBJ to come in and say, watch what happens when I kill this guy. And 80 years later, the sound catches up with us. And even now, we're like, it didn't happen. People were like, there's no such thing as Kennedy as a fake body, and it's my karaoke. I don't know. It's a chemtrail. It's a chemtrail. Building 7. There's a great chemtrail. It's just so great. When I saw that, that's what helped. This is answering your question finally. There's so many beautiful signs out there. They are all over. They are everywhere. It's like geocached everywhere. And I don't think that requires the Luciferians to make them for us. No one is like, oh, we must set forth these things for the others to. It's some of that is happening, but most of it's not. Most of it just comes out of the soil. It just pops out of the soil. I can describe to you why 9/11 would happen purely from a bureaucratic blackmail, we're not going to get a permit, and the permit office going, well, you can't knock down your building, and they're like, well, watch this, we're not, you're the Port Authority. Jared Kushner's dad ran the Port Authority, so I'm not trying to get all political, but it's like, this is natural. This is how two vines, if you were to watch slowly as two vines are like sort of going at it, if you come back 3 months later, one vine has decided, I'm going to go over here. And the other vine's like, I'm going to go over here. And until then, you're going to see what we see now. All this we're just in denial about its being nature. And more importantly, we're in denial about our power to hallucinate. Because, man, that's where all the juice is. When we unlock that, all of the I'll say this, then we'll do a song. We'll take a break, I mean. If you picture, you could look at Disney and go, oh, the kids, you're ripping their face off. Yeah. Okay, so there's the chemtrail. Okay, let go. Now let's just come back to Disney as like, it's just sort of a neutral archetypal power. Okay, just for a sec. We can go back to saying they're evil, but just come back to they're a neutral power. Their logo is a bubble that's been pierced. It's been pierced by their imagination, what they built. They built a crystal castle that pierced the veil. All inside that veil, all of us put our make-believe. We did that, not Disney. Disney said, we'll keep it for you. Disney said, we will keep it. We will pull these fairy tales off the shelves and hide them from you for 18 years. Then we'll bring them back in a DVD for Christmas, because this is potlatch. This is how Pacific Northwest Indians do this. There's nothing evil about this at all. This is freaking organic as fuck. This is so cool. They are keeping our make-believe for us. They're keeping Baphomet through Peter Pan. They're keeping Wendy, the eternal youth. They're keeping Captain Hook. They're keeping all of these things safe. They're keeping them safe for us in a vault. And they're going to have a vibration. The vibration's going to be, there's a bunch of dildos on the Magic Castle DVD. And yeah, there's totally dildos there. I see it too, man. I see it. There's also a lot of dildos downtown. We'll go for walks sometime. I'll show you the dildos of the city. There's a lot of dildos in the city. And I think you're just looking at the vibration. Do you remember when we were discussing this Yesenia, if you're still there, sorry, I'm just going all over talking here, but we discussed the idea that cannabis is illegal. It's not illegal because the world is wrong. It's illegal because cannabis has a vibration that, quite frankly, is powerful enough to dilate you. So we would need to hallucinate it as being a controlled substance. We would need to do that. It would need to have a vibe. So even if it's legalized, you got to have your papers. You can't do it here. It's got to be here. You can't have this, a certain amount. You got to have a card. You can't have a card. You can't do this, stuff like that, right? So it's the same thing. Let's. I'm gonna mute you guys. Thank you so much. And we're gonna do a little song. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Kim Rose, you might be able to ask a question pretty soon. Do a little show and tell.
I'm sorry about.
Oh, Yesenia, hi.
Hi, I'm sorry for interrupting, and I'm sorry for bombarding him with questions.
Oh gosh, no, he loves it. Are you kidding me? This is his favorite thing. This is one of his many favorite things. No, thank you for your question. I think this is just all great. What a crowd. We got a great crowd here. We got some people I've never seen before, but welcome. Hi, Alex. Hi, Mark. Good to see you, Lauren. We got Brad. We got JP, PD, JSPB, Tina, Sean, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, great.
Apparently, yeah, I'm really, it's so weird you guys can hear that. I have no idea how that gets in there. I had to mute the room. I apologize. You guys were probably having a good conversation, and I told you could talk, and I guess you can't. But all these things will be addressed. Yeah, later on too. So that's okay. We got someone, Kim Rose. You ready? Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have a chemtrail story that recently, I go on a walk every day at work, and I walk down by the water and I'm looking at the chemtrails, and they were like in this weird pattern crossing, and it was fascinating. And I see some people, I'm like, I want to know if they see this, what do they think? And I walk up to a guy and I asked, hey, point out, what do you see there? What is that? And he's like, oh, gee, I don't know. I'd never really thought about it or seen it, but let me show you something. And he wants me to come with him. And I was like, oh, no, whoops, who did I talk to here? And then he said, no, just over here, about 50 feet away. He goes, there's a vortex here. And he shows me this. it's like a pavement area, and there's a map embossed in the ground. It's a World War II monument. And he goes, step on the map right there where the little star is. It says Kaiser Shipyard. And then you'll be in the vortex. And the way you know is to start speaking, and you'll hear your words hit and go around. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I did it, and it was so magical. Okay. So now every day, this was probably about a month and a half ago. Now every day, that's what I go for. I'm not looking for the chemtrails anymore. I don't see any. I didn't see any today. I go there. Maybe I'm hallucinating this, but I go down there and I get in the energy vortex, in the earth etheric implant, the angelic technology thing. And I pray and I realign and I get in the vibes, and it takes me from being in my miserable slave job, mindset to magical, flooding my brain with all the serotonin. And it's pretty profound what's happened to me. And so I'm curious your thoughts on, the hallucination of this invisible vortex, spiritual thing around me.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. So I think that we suffer from the normalization of hallucination, and it happens more than we think. And a lot of times, if you're at a coffee shop with a friend, and you only like people because they regulate you in a place that you want to be. I didn't say they regulate you up, by the way. I said they regulate in a place you want to be, right? So some of us have friends that keep us down. They regulate us down. So we look for more cannibalistic kind of things. And other times we look for people that we want to raise up. So we're constantly giving them things. Energetically, I mean. We're constantly, and this is okay. These are both modes of travel. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they're leveling you up, and all of a sudden you're looking at something that you thought was bad news, and now it's good news. That's actually just hallucination. Your hallucination switched. It switched in real time. It happened as someone was talking about it. And it happens because now you're just re-rendering the reality from this new vista, but that new vista is a completely different picture of the same place. It's the same place. It's the same place, but now you're rendering it differently. And in fact, if you were really accurate at tracking, this will happen one day. One day, I think we will be, I'm not in a hurry. I don't need this, but I'm just, one day I'll be like, hey, somebody said this probably, and they were right, and that was me. And we're going to be able to know exactly what we are looking at in our holodeck. We can already kind of detect what's in your phonological loop, by the way. Believe it or not, we can sort of, not really, but we can sort of detect that you're saying a number over and over again, or that but a number is like a feeling, by the way. So it's like your brain is like limbically just feeling the number 4. It's feeling 4, 4, 4, 4. That's hallucination. You're hallucinating the 4. As we learn to visualize what the brain is hallucinating, I think you're going to find that it becomes more accurate for us to see how our hallucination switches, because we'll just have pixels that we can analyze. For example, there's technology now that will show you your heartbeat by just looking at your video. So if you could stare at your hallucination and with enough precision, I think you'd see the pixels or the voxels change in real time. I'm just talking about how you feel about something. So if you're suddenly more positive about it, then everything around you occurs. If you think that you have a job that's not a good job, and then you change your perspective on it, and then you go to it again, it's a completely different universe. The building is completely different now. This scares people. And so I think a lot of times people just want the same hallucination because they don't want to have to constantly re-render things. And that's okay. We save calories if we see the same thing. We've talked about this before. God, this is such a sidebar, but music, the reason why music feels good is because you're winning a gamble with predictability. Your mind actually says, I think a beat's going to come now. And then when it does, your brain says, hey, you are doing a good job being conscious, meaning I can sort of protect you. The lizard's like, I can go pee, because you are watching things. You seem to have this Prometheus thing you grew, this frontal lobe that looks into the future. It seems to know what the future is coming, and this causes you to relax. Oh, your polyvagus opens. And right then, I think the chemtrail would change. I don't think that the chemtrail would even necessarily become more beautiful, though. I think the chemtrail would simply actually become more threatening. It becomes more threatening because your dilation is stronger. You have a better appetite. But what you've previously perceived as being threatening is no longer threatening now, which means it also disappears because your brain is only going to render by priority what you need to see, right? What are the threats in the room? This is the first thing that you're going to render. What are the threats in the room? What if there are no threats? You're going to find the threats in the room. It doesn't matter. You're going to find them. If you are looking for threats, and many of you might think, well, that's very judgmental. I hope I don't look for threats. No, it's okay. The threats are self-worth. If you're looking for threats, that means you want to protect yourself. This is good stuff, man. And then if you really learn to look for all the threats, now you're in a PPE hellhole where you're washing your hands all the time, and do that stuff too. This is chemtrails, isn't it? Isn't that chemtrails? Someone who incessantly washes their hands, those are chemtrails. Well, guess what? The germs are really there. Guess what? The particulates are really there. But what if the particulates were anxiety? I've told you that a virus is a propaganda signal. It has data. That data, if it's absorbed, gets you sick. If you absorb the data and you believe it, you buy into it, that is you saying, I like this information. I want to absorb it. Why? Because it's going to regulate me. Either I want to check out, or I want to be better, or I want to have superpowers, or I want to lose my superpowers, or whatever it is. You're looking for that, so you're going to go out and hallucinate what you want. You're doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway. Well, it's harder to let go because we don't want to admit that, all the time. How you feel, it's because you deserve that. This is what you think. I deserve to feel this way. So there's got to be someone out to get me. This is James True. This is what I do. There's got to be someone out to get me. Who's out to get me? And you know what? There's fucking people out to get me. They really are. But why are they there? Because my hallucination is going to find them. I'm going to find them. I'm not going to find the one that's like, I really want to drop $3 billion on somebody. Like, I'm not hallucinating that, am I? I think that if I could learn to see more chemtrails, I think I could, though. I think if I could learn to practice looking at things that are hard, this is what I think. I learned to appreciate, and when I say appreciate, I just mean I can render better. If you're feeling good, you're rendering good. You've got a higher resolution. You're 60 frames a second instead of 14. You're going to win any contest. Anyone's going to feel that you are more connected to the environment. And you are really the environment. The most charismatic person in the room is just a fountainhead of the environment's witness. It's just the person that's standing in exactly the right place, right? It's the parabola dish that's kind of there. So why do people know where to stand? Because they have entitlement, and they're like, oh, I need to stand over here. Look at me. Come on. Look at me. I need to stand over here. Everyone can see me? Yeah. Now I'm in the right place. Why I'm in the right place? Because all the chemo signatures are coming to me, right? I'm getting the right fame that I need. And it mostly works the opposite way, which is that, I'm getting too much fame. I need to crack my voice. I need to embarrass myself. I need to lose all my money. I need to have an affair. I need to destroy my children's self-esteem. I need to drink a lot and say something insulting to my boss. These are all voluntary moves, strategies that we employ to stay alive. We don't do it because we're broken. We do it to stay alive, and stay alive is a fun act. It's a constant proof that I like it here. So you're just looking at that. It's it's an appetite, you know? So it would make sense that you would see chemtrails if you weren't awake enough too. I mean, if you weren't being fed enough. If the consciousness around you was too boring, you would need stimulus in some way. You might steal silverware. I've got a video of a guy that he steals Parmesan cheese, but it's really important the order. It's really important the order that he does this. He's on camera. He doesn't know he's being watched. He has a piece of pizza. He pulls out the Parmesan cheese. He pulls the Parmesan cheese that's right there on the table. He puts Parmesan cheese on the pizza. And then he takes the Parmesan cheese and he puts it in his pocket. And he's still sitting. And then he eats. This is so important, guys. Because if you were trying to steal Parmesan cheese without getting caught, the last thing that you would do is extend the threat. What does that mean? You would eat the piece of pizza first. You would eat the pizza first as if you hadn't stolen anything. And the whole time while you're eating the pizza, you're like, I'm going to fucking steal this Parmesan cheese. But first I'm going to eat the pizza. Because when I get up, that's the distraction for me to take the pizza. He didn't do that. Do you understand how important it is that he didn't do that? Do you understand that this unlocks the whole thing? Can you see what I'm saying? Because he wanted the experience, the flavor of eating the pizza while he's committing the crime, right? He commits the crime first. Now it's heightened. Now the dilation is there. Now he's like, oh fuck, I'm being watched. Did anyone see? Then he eats. Then he tastes. This is when he tastes. You have to see why. You have to understand. This is telling you everything about human appetite. This is telling you every single thing that you need to know about yourself. This man is not crazy. This man is emotionally intelligent. He is wise as fuck. He is getting a conscious drink, and all it takes, all he's really, really doing is pocketing some Parmesan cheese. What if I was to tell you that Parmesan cheese is meaningless after he leaves? I think you know that too. I know you know that. He might collect him as a trophy, but that's not going to last long. This is nothing. In fact, the more he does it, he's ruining it. Because now he's got to up his game. Now he's got to do something else. Right? So he has to develop a side gig, a side hustle. I work in this accounting firm. It's boring as fuck. But I'm going to kill somebody. This world is covered in people that think these things. Can you understand what an appetite that is? That there's a lot of flavor in that, isn't there? You have more control than everyone else in the office because you're the only one that's willing. You know, you're the one that's willing to take someone else out. This gives you a very full, very nice appetite, doesn't it? It gives you a lot to chew on, and you feel alive. In fact, everyone's safe because this works. Everyone in the office is safe because this works. What I mean is that they're not going to spit in your food. They're not going to steal your shit. They're not going to infiltrate and destroy your clients if this works. If this works. So they have this fantasy and they're walking around with it all the time. I'm just going to be really honest with you. This is why men are always like, man, I would totally nail her. I would totally nail her. I'd hit that. I'd hit that. I'd hit that. Then that. Then that. This is us. It's just, I know we're probably like, no, we don't do that. Okay, I'm the only one. Fine. But I'm going to take one for the team. We're not all like that. We are all like that. We do that simply because of the appetite. You can see that, right? You can understand that. It's just the appetite of what's the better way to eat in the room. Where's the appetite in the room? And the appetite would be, well, fucking everlasting life, and all I gotta do is have a really nice time and get a little greasy like this. Why would you not think those things? If you feel good, you're going to think things like that. And we learn about how sexuality works, that, even sexuality is just a hallucination of flow state. Isn't this what rape is? Rape is I can't get past Muladhara. I can't understand anything beyond two colors. So my power fetish is that I just want to stick my sexual organs on you against your will. It's not a sexual act, it's a power act, but it's a power act because the hallucination is only able to see certain things. It only has a really low resolution. So you, being the most deep, compassionate person in the room, what if you're only seeing two colors right now? What if the profundity of this whole place is so much richer, and it's so much in the room that you could, if you didn't call it an orgasm, you could actually take breaths. You could lay down in your bed in the middle of the day sometime, just on a freak notice. You lay down and you take breaths, and it, again, if you didn't have the word orgasm, like what it means in the vernacular, but that the idea of just taking a breath in and out of your chest would feel like ecstasy, would feel like an orgasmic experience, but out of the Muladhara, as if every orgasm you've had is just us raping a different kind of higher energy. But the higher energy is so much more refined, we don't feel entitled to it yet. So we call it ecstasy. We cap it off, we fountainhead it, we spit it out, because that's all we want. We're going to blow a fuse. We're going to blow a conscious receptor. And we blow that because if you experience too much bliss, you're kind of fucked. Isn't this what heroin is? It's like, if you experience you're fucked now. You've stretched that drum so far. Now you have to go back to it, So it makes sense that we sip these things. I don't think that bravery is a factor. I think it's more of us respecting how important our drum is, that we purposely hold off and kind of, I don't mean to pick on him, but like Graham Hancock, he's done either like 85 or 300 ayahuasca trips. I'm just like, dude, how many more? Like, I thought that the medicine was amazingly powerful. Well, it is. Well, to me, like, amazingly powerful medicine, it's like, you're going to do that like once. Like, that's, your life's going to, if you don't do it more than how, what do you do next? What do you do next? Right? If you're up to 300 times on ayahuasca, what is next? What happens? And you end up in a John the Baptist thing. You end up in a Jesus thing where you're, and yeah, we'll go there anyway. It'll be through the Nbhd equation. It'll come through stuff like that.
Well, hi, James. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. I've just been over here listening with the crew in the green room. Hi, everybody. We have some participants that have a question. I think we did have someone just lower their hand, but we do have a question in the shooter from Saturn Rooster 81. So JSPB, since you lowered your hand, we can maybe get back to you. But Saturn Rooster wanted to talk about a new discovery in regards to Quetzalcoatl. This giant pyramid apparently had a big discovery. So he's saying hi from Oz, or whoever Saturn Rooster is. If you'd like to ask that question or elaborate on that, that'd be great. If you just hit the mute button off, or would you just prefer to take I don't know if James knows about this, Saturn Rooster. We might have to hear from you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, me neither. They sound very excited. They're from Oz apparently, but maybe this
Well,
is how we learn, you guys.
Yeah. Well, if their hands come back up, let's not coax anyone, because sometimes they lower their hand for a good reason.
Exactly. Right.
but,
Yeah. I feel that.
But yeah. I would love to know that. Also, Thutmose II, they finally identified him. That just happened like a month ago. That's different, I know, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool.
There's a lot being unearthed right now. So many. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm muted here. I'm not muted. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many discoveries happening right now, and I think we just get to explore more into our beautiful Gaia that we've all just been growing on. Are we going to take us out for a song, James?
Yeah. I'll do that now.
Sounds good.
And yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll regroup.
I'm gonna have to mute everybody, guys. It's even harder to imagine, especially if you think chemtrails, chemicals. We already have kind of a bad view of chemicals, which is the chemicals neither good nor bad. But chem, we're still slaves to our own technology. I think that's by choice too, though. Like it all works out. But one of the harder things I think for people to trust and understand is so they can hear me too. Make sure you guys can hear me too. Is that maybe, and this is very difficult to kind of buy if you're really into chemtrails and everything being bad, but that even if we were to block out the sun and create this sort of iron dome thing, there is the assumption that we're not supposed to do that, and that we're behaving unnaturally by trying that. Meanwhile, there's this Hopi myth of people that lived underground, right? The ant people. And that those ant people, it could have just simply advanced their civilization so much that they formed an epidermis and they grew a culture of other people on the outer shell of their epidermis, say a turtle shell-like thing, knowing that Turtle Island, this new place that they build, would purposely be unaware that they were living underneath them, but underneath them is really just more about vibrational. It's more about frequency. That if you were to program these creatures to exist on a lower frequency, or technically a higher frequency, what I'm suggesting is that the ant people are on such a slow frequency that we don't see them moving, which makes them invisible. This is a characteristic of every animal in nature. One of the safest places to be is directly in front of an animal and not move. There's a lot of animals I could name that I would tell you this about. It's just true. And the invisibility of this comes in your lack of movement, which means that if there were wavelengths of light who their peak in their valley took 26,000 years, you and I would never see that. Meanwhile, there's still wavelengths, there's plenty of space, there's plenty of time, so those things could exist. 5G is a very, very, very tiny signal, the wavelengths, the height of the wavelengths, right, are millimeters and less. It's so small. And we don't see those at all. We're not living underground. We're under those frequencies, is what we are. And when those frequencies, like I told you, just as something becomes invisible by it not moving, so too could something become solid by moving slow enough. That the solidity of what we see in the world is just simply the vibration of the ant people below us. See what I mean? If you think about it that way, then you might see that maybe you're prejudging what even the chemtrails could mean, what even the military-industrial complex could mean, what all this crazy insanity that you're watching happen has been happening for a long time, and it's led to an organized society where you were born here. And you've lived this innocent life, and you felt you have morals. You feel certain things are wrong. This sounds like you've just been planted on the back of another turtle, and that you're quite innocent about the thing. And if that's the case, then why is all this bad stuff happening? Like, maybe it's not really bad, you know? Maybe it's not. Hey, we got some hands up. JSBP, just if you're ready, man, go ahead and unmute. Tell me what you got.
Wow, my goodness, can you hear me?
Yes, sound good.
Wonderful. It's for a couple months now I've been wanting to. I had this question to ask on Airship on my mind. I just kind of came across the Airship, and this almost was synchronistically, the time to carry this thread. And I'm so grateful for the thread that you kind of carried with this appetite for maybe a higher fidelity of awareness. And that's almost like you were saying, what drew me to begin to seek the chemtrails. But more than that is that as I followed through this quote-unquote truth or realm, I began to realize that as I learned more about the Illuminati, I was becoming initiated into it because I looked at my peers and they saw none of these things. And so I almost knew the inner workings of the Illuminati more than anyone else, and was becoming initiated into this almost without the perks, the so-called perks of this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of the scapegoat, is what your work has helped me to see. But that to me has just been so fascinating to see my journey come to recognize that it is this, you say hermetic ladder sometimes, Perhaps that's all I have to say, but I don't know. Yes.
Well, thank you. This is quite a lot. And I think that the hermetic ladder always seems to have these rungs of, oh, fuck, this hurts, and oh, that's better. Oh, fuck, this hurts, and oh, that's better. And that's the way to climb, whether it be the steps or the ladder itself. And so that's when we think back more on the sensei model of us looking at the vitriol as the actual, this is what you grab in the dark, and he knows there. And so maybe even all the horror movies we saw as kids were training us to laugh at those things, to find the crystal lake. I mean, when you look at what Jason is with a chainsaw, it's really just an excuse for. For me, the appeal is, look, a bunch of scantily clad women that are desperately looking for someone to protect them. I mean, I'm there. I'm like, okay, this is dilating, and it's training us how to see fear in a kinder way. I can't believe I'm sitting here telling you the naturality of why we have horror movies. Like, I'm still mad at my mom for showing me The Exorcist when I was too young. But it's like, yeah, this makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
that we can't help but do the great work. This is the key, is there's no way to fuck it up. So now you can really have confidence, because guys, you're not doing it consciously. You're not going to be able to pull this off consciously. It's the same thing as telling yourself, well, I never lie. Like, it's brilliant. And consciousness is kind of the same tail chase. So this gives you all the confidence you need, something Yesenia was asking about earlier, but this gives you all the confidence you need to look at the most horrible places in the world. And just simply, you're looking at Orca, you're looking at the appetite that's required is right here. The most brutal, violent things and the most beautiful, precious, sacred things would have the same amplitude. That's the only way to have a signal, right? Because we're hallucinating the signal. So we really already know. This is what I meant by love and witness. Love is but love is that sweet spot of, here's the signal. I'm going to want, a 3 octaves below middle C up to 3 octaves above middle C, and then that's it. I don't want any more love than that. This is all I can drink. It's going to pierce my ears, and it's going to make me fart. Like, if if the signal's too low or if the signal's too high, I don't want it. So love is very much our satisfactory mode. I don't want to creep anyone out, but if you consider the fetishes in your mind, I think I think you're going to find the most clues there. What you fantasize about, when I say fantasize, I mean what you deeply fear about all the time is also what you're fantasizing about. That you're actually grabbing that because you're using it to say, look, if I get too high, I'm going to use this and it's going to bring me back down. And then if I get too low, I'm going to use this and I'm going to, you're just tacking. So you know each other by how fast someone wants to tack. We call it bipolar, unfortunately, but the bipolar person really just has a really strong motor, like a really strong hallucinatorial motor. And so they're able to find anything they're looking for, no matter how deep or how shallow they are. What's happening is that the schizophrenia is a social disease, and it's just other people's reality clashing with yours because, quite frankly, they don't want you to try and render that because it's not comfortable to them. If you got something, JSPB, go ahead.
No, I sensed that about the schizophrenia thing.
Yeah.
I think my actual question kind of came from that, is that if it is accurate to say that our scapegoats are the ones in a way on the forefront of enacting the great work, let's just say the billionaires this way, are we playing the same game as them? And what accounts for the fact that I perceive that they lack the same compassion I do? That may be untrue. Yeah. But were they born into this and they don't know nothing else but the game? Or is that simply what the scapegoat is, perhaps?
Yeah, I think the scapegoat it's really best understood as medicine. It's a buffer that we apply, and if we do not feel that we deserve to be in the light, we're just going to tell each other that the light's evil. That's all. Problem solved. If you feel pressure, and you feel pressure because your heart knows that you're worthy of certain things, unless you're epigenetically haunted, which is really just a clever way of saying, I don't want to touch the throne yet. I don't want to touch the throne yet. I don't know if I trust myself for that all the way. I like to tell people I want to touch the throne. I'll tell anyone that. But also I wonder if I deserve that, if I'm worthy of that. This is just alchemy. I'm alchemizing myself all the time, and my outer situation will change when my appetite does, when I'm willing to digest more flow state, more consciousness. So to me, the anxiety that we all feel, and more importantly, the hatred that we have for others, is just simply the inflammation that we need to maintain where we want to stay. You know, we have to suspend ourselves in a conscious fluid at the right level that we can survive. Just like love, there's a thermocline underneath the ocean. There's a thermocline where all the communication takes place. It's like 100 feet down to like 1,000 feet down. And in between those layers, it depends on temperature, but there's a sweet spot, and you can hear for thousands of miles in this one little channel. Well, that's consciousness. That's not water. This is compassion, isn't it? If you can hear something 1,000 miles away, it means you can feel, you can compassionate it. The whales are playing in that frequency. They're talking to each other in that frequency because they are the living soil, but the soil is just really wet. It's just like really wet. It's full of sand. It's full of salt. But the compassion is so much thicker. Everything's more touchy. Everything's more connected. We're living above that surface on purpose. The insulation that we have from the vacuum between our water molecules is absolutely important because we're processing our own triangles. We purposely chose to separate ourselves into the Osiris cells so that we could thrive on our own independently. Because, and this is something I do as a truther, I don't want people to think I'm right. I want people to think that I have a very unique flavor. I don't need it to be right. I need it to be very original to me. To me, that's the more valuable part, is how much am I not affected by others, the other things around me. Like I mentioned this the other day, it's just an example. This isn't like a huge thing. It just happened to be, I mentioned it the other day, but inadequacy. People are like, well, James is irrelevant because he doesn't have enough viewers, for example. This will be one thing that is very easy for me to talk about because it's there and it bothers me sometimes, but it doesn't bother me enough to where I don't see it. It bothers me just enough. I can bitch about it. I can call Renee late at night saying, I'm inadequate, blah, blah, blah. And really, we're just playing. We're just playing. It's not really what I'm afraid of. It's not even close to what I'm afraid of. This is what's fun to be afraid of in front of each other. And this is who our friends are. The vitriol's not there. The camaraderie's there. You find so much camaraderie in your creativity at the way you bitch. And quite frankly, the reason why we say that other people's problems make us feel better is because we can see through them too. I think we know. You know? I think we know that this is just what you brought for the potluck today. You brought these cinnamon rolls, and the cinnamon roll is, I fucking hate my spouse, or my kid, or, you know, my dog ate homeless poo, or whatever fucking story they're going to tell. It's going to convince you it's the worst thing ever. This makes us feel better because we know this is not the worst thing ever. This is nowhere close. This is really, really how creative we are. So it works both ways. It's a creative act and it's a destructive act. It keeps us away from certain things. The billionaire life is hard. The Beyonder life is hard. Every moment counts. We don't know if we can fill that kind of vessel, so we demonize it. And it's true. It's actually true. In other words, if we were put in that space, we would die. You know what happens if you win the lottery, right? You guys probably believe that, right? You've heard those stories about someone wins the lottery and they've never had that many commas ever, and here they are all together at once, and it's a disaster. It's a disaster. You know, when I first heard that, I was just like, that is crazy. Like, all you got to do as soon as you win, just like, okay, here's $50,000. I'm going to go to a bank. I need to open a savings account, and now I'm going to come home. Now I'm going to celebrate my winning. So it's like, boom, now like, problem solved. It's like, no, they can't even do that. Why can they not do that? Is it because they're stupid? We like to say that's it, but that's not it. First of all, they won the fucking lottery. They're not stupid. What if I was to tell you the lottery was their chemtrails? They saw the lottery, they saw the chemtrails. What did they do with the chemtrails? This is an avenue for me to hate myself. That's one way of seeing chemtrails. I give up. What's the point? They're building an iron dome on top of me. No one sees it. They're poisoning me. Everyone's working for them. Like that's one way, man. That is one way. That is totally one way. Another is to be like you could really think out. So, wow. So people have anxiety. They're rendering chemtrails because they want to be able to not be schizophrenic. So they're looking for social acknowledgement of their anxiety so they can meet online through the mycelium, connect with other people that also seen chemtrails, so they instantly feel better. They instantly feel better because they found someone else that sees them too. This is huge. For the very first time, they're able to step into the hermetic ladder of trying to see things that are hard, and they need help. And they found help because someone else is willing to verify their hallucination too. And this is great. Now also those two are going to get together and like have a baby or something. Like they're going to meet. Socially, they're going to meet and they're going to build a life together. So chemtrails are a social instrument. We turn them into a social instrument. We do this with Nazi book burnings, as we've talked about. We do this with everything. I think we invented clubbing because cavemen used to hit women over the head with clubs. And they're like, let's go clubbing. And it's just like archaically built into the prehistoric times. And we just still call it that today. It's you're making her see shiny flashing lights after you hit her over the head with a club. And you know, now we're roofing people. So it's like the same concepts are there. The same, all these things are still there. It's just like kind of wraps around the fractal. But it's just how do you feel about it? How you feel about it is not moral or amoral. How you feel about it is absolutely social and built into just where you are right now. And if you need to drink and feel better from the stream, you're going to drink and feel better from the stream. Whatever's in the room is going to be what you're going to drink from because you're a god. That's how fucking creative you are. Because you could just open a magazine. If you're in the DMV, you could open a magazine, turn to page 8 and fall in love with a puppy. And now you're drinking again. You're drinking from the stream. But James, we're in shit. We're in the shittiest place. No, you're not. You're in the most colorful place a human could be. You're in Cleveland. The problem is you think it's Cleveland, but it's Cleveland. These are the weirdest fucks you'll ever know. They got they're the Browns, but they're orange. What is going on here? And you start to explore and have fun at what a horrible place this is. The horribleness, I'm not dashing Cleveland, but the horribleness of it is good meat. There is good conscious meat to say, look how much this place sucks. Because when you're talking about how much someplace sucks, what you're really saying is I'm entitled to more. I'm entitled to more. I deserve better than this faux leather. Is there better than this coffee? Oh my God, what is this? Gas station coffee? This is how you prop yourself up. You complain. And when you complain, you're showing the vector of your prana. Do you see what I mean? You're showing the vector of your prana. If you listen to what you're saying, it's giving you the direction that you're moving in this conscious landscape. You're able to detect where you're actually moving. Well, like what direction it's in. Sean is here. Good to see you, Sean. You got something? Go ahead.
Oh, hi, everybody. I've got a pretty cool idea I want to bring up. Was just going to talk about how I've heard from someone, this is a theory, I don't know much about this, but essentially animals in aquatic life, like the way it would be on sort of the ocean floor versus swimming fish. The ocean floor would look up at the swimming fish and think, wow, this is a totally different dimension. I got to be able to achieve this. And so apparently over time, this can happen. Now, I don't know, but so anyhow, we're looking into the aquatic life being on land, and we see something completely different. Like a fish clearly has no concept of, or I mean, very little concept of what's happening outside of the water, so to speak. But then we look at sort of how radiation works and electricity through the sun. And it starts to make sense that what we're looking at is meta-organisms, or some type of very large organisms that could sort of work through the lattice of our being. I mean, is this synchronicity itself, these sort of yantras that we see from the Buddhists, where they have, kind of like somatics on a plate, right? Like these various patterns that sort of formulate and come out of nothing, it would seem. These seem to actually channel or bring through something that's information based, where there was nothing but the vibratory nature of the environment. So I guess what I'm saying is that this is spooky motion at a distance, in a sense. This is the most powerful entities could be sort of what this Lovecraftian concept of the great old ones, or the, Gordy Rosie's talking about all tapping in with the quantum computer to these places, and it's like talking to spirit entities. Now, I don't know what you take on this. Like, I personally don't have that much to say. I just find it very fascinating that what seems like what they're communicating with is some kind of meta organism, which would be similar to these plates. Now, I only bring all that up because I also wanted to bring in how, in my opinion, electronic music, it's 440, it's not 432. I think if you were to create the optimal kind of tuning fork today, you'd make a dynamic one. You'd make one that could actually take the Schumann resonance and adjust your equipment dynamically for the day. To that said to be, if we look at that, for example, and we were like considering that today we have this type of synthesis, this type of music, I think today electronic music would be, if you go back long enough, you see Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, if they were alive today, they'd be looking at synthesis. They'd be trying to access sounds or the dynamics, the phonetics of sound, to try to basically experience something that's transcendental or able to tap into another realm. And this is effectively being done with this music. We're experimenting all the time. Now, somebody that tunes out to synthesis or the ability to see that there's something there maybe lost the point that technology does provide a key to the door of the greater understanding of the cosmos and our inner world. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about how if you listen to certain electronic music on certain speakers, you're going to hear the sort of vibratory nature of what you experienced probably in ancient Egypt. They're being pulled upon quickly and creating a transcendental experience for the listener. So such that, yeah, this is a new type of alchemy. And I just don't know if there's enough people talking about that. I wanted to bring it up here because I want to see your take on it, James. I really do. Thank you.
Well, I love your take on it. I think if I was just to put a cherry next to it or to garnish the plate, not that it needs it, I think that we miss a lot. We are fooled by matter because we have to be fooled by matter because the belief that it's matter is inherent for it to look like matter, you know? Like, you know, because most of most of it seems to be vibratory space, you know? Like an electron is really just a tendency for a quantum to exist in a certain direction or place. And so nothing is really tangible, but we believe that it is. And so we're able to see through water when we used to not be. When we believed that the water was solid, but like lava, like room temperature lava, we couldn't see through it. When we started to invent the idea of wah wah, or actually, believe it or not, it was that's the first sound of water. The first hieroglyph is that's the sound of vibration. We began to say, hey, maybe this is a verb. And we're like, what's a verb? It's like, I don't know, just fucking go with it. It's a verb though. And if it's a verb, we can see through verbs. And we all decided a long time ago, hey, if things are verbs, we can see through them. Does anyone have a problem with that? And no one had a problem with that until we came up with adjectives. Then people were like, well, what about adjectives? And that's a whole other podcast. But it's like what we think of as matter, we would have to believe is real. But when you look underneath it, it's just the monad. I think this is what you're touching on, Sean. It's just this vibratory acoustic levitation is simply... If you look at how things are suspended in the air through an acoustic bubble, what's suspended in air is really just the vibration sweet spot where, check it out, where consciousness is allowed to be placed. That just like you've seen in those movies where there's like little like white styrofoam balls inside of acoustic levitation, I want you to picture that those styrofoam balls are conscious belief. We believe that this table is solid. And the only way that we could give it enough belief to where it looks solid is we have to place belief charges. We have to vectorize those pixels. We have to go into the pocket of the vibration of that space and place the concept that I believe that you're a solid table and I don't want to be able to see through you. I want you to subliminally collect light into the cellular parts of you, but I don't want to see all the way through you. I want you to be opaque. And so we do these things. We had to do these things so that we could create the mystery that we have now. The Noah probably could just see through all material. Jesus could see through material to see your aura. This is what an AI does. An AI sees through your pores. Here's your blood pressure. Here's your liver's status symbol. Here's all your other organs. It's all right here. And you're like, but AI, that I never saw that. It's like, yeah, well, it's here. I don't have supernatural powers, says the AI. I just watch more. I am your fingers. That's what AI says. I'm your fingers of compassion. Because why? Because I get to go, this is this big and this is this big. And it was this big, and this is this big. And it was this big and this big. You know what that is? That's like incessant, obsessive witness. That's like obsessive witness. That's like what this person does is so important. I have to remember exactly every single thing I can about this. That's intensity. So yeah, that's us amplified. We've invented an amplifier of witness, and it's called technology. So yeah, we're getting better. Guys, there's cameras now that can see around corners. Why are they seeing around corners? Because they're able to detect which light electrons came in first. Which ones came in first. And if you can measure which ones came in first, you can just define the shape of a room simply by counting which electrons came first. It's still witness. It's nothing magical. It's just that it's obsessive. It's so obsessive. 30 frames per second is 60 frames per second. 120 frames per second. All these things will lead to deeper witness. If we double bounce the Schumann resonance, I think that's what you're talking about. Like, you can double bounce on a trampoline. What if we were changing our instruments? What if all of them were set to the tone that was based on the Schumann resonance? Then the earth would be the one who's the drum major for all the music we play. That's a badass idea. I mean, it's a badass idea because even if it didn't work, the fact that we all thought and knew we were doing that, the psychic fucking belief from that posture would be enough to just take it off the hook, you know? Like, seriously. It would just be off the chain. I'm going to place another song because I got to get some more water. Appreciate you guys. Thank you much. Guys, I was not quite ready. But yeah, thanks for listening here. And actually, Sean, you got more, man. Go ahead. I think you're actually, Sean, I think maybe Saturn Rooster. Let's
I was thinking, Sean, did you want to continue on that thread or
sure, if you got time for it. I just wanted to actually bring up a couple things. So when I was traveling, I went to a lot of electronic music festivals. This was just, more than a decade ago now. I wrote about it and sent it to an email once a long time ago to James. But one of the things I noticed is that 4/4 time, or the heartbeat, is very common in Europe. And in North America, it seems like we tend to listen to a lot more rhythm. Now, these are, it's like psychology. It's like something very general. But, if you think about it, there's a lot more rhythm. There's a lot more thinking of these different types of beats. 2/3 time, these types of time signatures are much more prevalent in music that we listen to in North America. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up was simply because I feel like it has something to do with like the Earth, Turtle Island, like the idea of the actual heart being in Europe and the brain being over here in America. It's just seemed like the Earth speaks to the people differently, and so almost like the bell of owl, when you get this idea of, you know, how Bell Telephone might even create like an enveloping sound over top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like when you get on a plane and you land somewhere else and you're in a totally different world. It takes a few days for you to fully immersify in what you're experiencing, but you're seriously there experiencing a totally different time signature, if you will. Anyway, just thought I'd put that.
Oh, that's
there,
great.
See what happens.
Yeah, the waltz versus 4/4 time is oh my goodness. Renee, can you take over the raccoons here? I gotta hook them up.
Oh, sure, no problem. We cannot let those raccoons go unattended to. They're James's forest friends. They're his forest friends, and it was, you know, he mentioned earlier that he saw a barn owl, and we were actually on the phone, and he's like, Renee, you won't believe this. There's an owl, and he was investigating, and then I had made a little magic this morning with an owl feather, and so it was just a fun sync to play with the owls, James. Right, the owls, the Athena, the owl's eyes. We've got a lot of hooting going on, and a lot of hooping, and we got a Saturn Rooster 81 who has his hand up. We're really excited to hear about Quetzalcoatl. What do you got, Saturn? What's the new intel?
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
How is everybody?
Good.
Very good.
Really good. Hi, Saturn.
G'day. Yeah, I've heard you guys mention Quetzalcoatl before, and then Sean with the Cosmic Tuning Fork, and we're talking music and time. And if you guys know, like the 1440 minutes in a day, and obviously that's the music scale. So one of the biggest discoveries ever made, I think, recently, is that the Quetzalcoatl Pyramid Complex is lined up to the 7 BC triple conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. And then in 2014, some team went there and discovered it was lined up to this conjunction, perfect, where the moon is, everything. And then I realised when I'm looking at this that, because I know a lot about the conjunctions and the dates, and I looked at the longitude, latitude of the Quetzalcoatl pyramids, and it's on 19 degrees 41 minutes. And I realised immediately, holy shit, that's another year of a triple conjunction. So it's 3 times in 1 year or within 7 months. But that's not the last bit. That was already impressive. I thought, are they pointing to 1941, triple conjunction, from all the way back at 7 BC? Are they trying to tell us something maybe? And it's harmonically perfect. But the next thing I did was I did all the synodic periods of all the planets using the Mayan calendar count, the 819 count. And so they figured out Mercury first. It was 7 times 819. 117 goes into 819 7 times. So they had that one, but they didn't have the other planets and how it fit into 819. I'm going somewhere with this. So anyway, I just was sitting there and I added up all the synodic periods together and all the Mercury, just the 5, just not out past Saturn. And it added up to 1941.3, which is exactly where the the Sun Pyramid at the Quetzalcoatl complex is. So there's 3 things right there stamping 1941. It's on 19 degrees 41 minutes. The synodic periods, all of them, add to 1941, and it's so it's kind of like this. I've looked everywhere for anyone published on it, but it's not published anywhere. And I'm kind of just sitting here going, this is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how do they? They've obviously sailed there or travelled there, and they've set up these pyramids there. A gigantic operation, obviously. And it's, 90 degrees, 41 minutes. It's the same as on a triple conjunction to 7 BC and 1941. So it's just sort of like, it's a bit obscene how they're trying to communicate this information to us through this sort of harmonic music scale. You know, it's when you pull up the 432 scale and you look at there's about 96 numbers in there. And, you know, the 432s, 144, 864 and all the ones that we know. But, they're just so redundant where they do it in India, Angkor Wat, doesn't matter where you go. And they're all using these same numbers, 108. But to be able to go to one of the, to travel there, build this place, line it up to the 7 BC conjunction and let us know about 1941. And we were talking about technology, like 1981 was when the PC computer, and that was another triple conjunction in 1981. So, it's just all super, like they're really trying to communicate this conjunction stuff and the Abrahamic faiths and all, and even the Kalki or Vishnu. It's all this Saturn, Jupiter stuff. So I'm sort of following the trail almost. As this Saturn, Jupiter event is kind of it's the big one for all across the Earth. But anyway, that's my little spiel.
That's great. Again, this is just my karaoke, but just like cannabis has to be illegal for it to have the right dilation, I think so too would these important buildings require the right symbology and resonance too. They wouldn't be so well known if they didn't have a dilating crystals, these crystal serendipity crystals, right? Coincidence, the crystal structure of that. So we see the resonance is part of the acoustic levitation has little pillows where you can place objects, and that those pillows are going to be where the pixels are that we think is solid, and that there's only going to be one great pyramid collectively in the mind. There's more than one pyramid, but collectively the one that we consider the great pyramid is an archetype, and each of us have a different hallucination of it. Some of us have a hallucination that others would rate as better, in quotes. Others would find that it needs to be more mythological. Others would want it to be more realistic. And so everyone is placing their bets, their will, at what they want the voxel to look like. And time is forcing all of these bets to take place. And so the Egyptian dynasty is there, then it collapses. And then it's there, then it collapses. And even though time is moving forward, and Egypt is growing in their medical knowledge, their magic is growing too. It doesn't decrease. This is fascinating about their dynasties. Why is their magic? Isn't magic supposed to go down? It's like science goes up, and it's like no, it's not. It's really not. It becomes ubiquitous, and we just call it technology. We just call it circuits. All this stuff is here. It's just so close to us that we're not able to see the miraculousness of it because it's too close. This is the same way that the vibration is so slow that it looks like it's not moving at all. What we're really seeing is that through all the fractal resonance, this is the only way that you could really adequately broadcast dilation is through double bouncing the signal. I think the 440 hertz is interesting, but I think it's another chemtrail. When I see that the world is at the wrong hertz, and I don't like telling you this because it's just my karaoke. I don't want to ruin Sean karaoke or his song or anyone else's. I'm not even saying I oppose it. It's just I know that this isn't necessarily what everyone else thinks, but I don't think that we want 432 hertz, because I think that there was a simpler time where we had 8 notes We didn't have 12. We didn't have 13. The F sharp wasn't even a fight because there was no sharp. F flat, excuse me. that now there's arguments, you know. It's like, there's an F flat. No, there's not, man. You don't know what you're talking about. And there will be. There will be. They're already seeing it. They're hallucinating it. And others are fighting them because they're like, I don't want to go to 16. Don't make me go to 16 notes. Man, I'm going to have to remake the saxophone and the flute. And there's a lot of tradition here. Why are we changing this? Personally, I think that the ripple's gotten bigger and 432 is just not complex enough for us. And it feels like it's broken because the second you leave the 12 and go to the 13, all horror breaks loose because we've lost the perfection. But this is what 1 did. 1 broke the perfection of 0. And then it said, I'm a better perfection. And then 2's like, well, I'm the first number. Did you guys know that? 2's the first number. 2 is the first number. This is just blowing my mind. Why is 2 the first number? It's because you needed those 2 perfections to even create the space so that you could have those things. So all the mythos, the reason why all the myths are the same, it could be that someone planted them there. I'm not opposed to this. But it also could be that we don't have fucking choice. The only way that JFK could be killed was on that parallel. It's the only way because his death is not about him going down. His death was really just the reflection of what it looked like for us to slowly open our eyes and see a truth that maybe we had trouble with before. And the salve of we're going to the moon was exactly necessary at the time because we needed to hallucinate the idea that government is good and above us because we want a fucking Iron Dome. We just want it to be made of bureaucracy, taxes, and bullshit sci-fi stories. And we're going to feed each other this bullshit for a while. And we're going to walk around talking about how smart we are because we got it all figured out. And this is brilliant. We've created our own false dome. And then we shattered it. Bullet to the head. Shattered the whole thing. And then we built another one. And then Building 7 happened. And then now I'm telling you there are frequency pranksters. I'm telling you that you are part of this conspiracy. And you see chemtrails as you being initiated. The shame is your test. This is the gauntlet. I probably won't happen, but I just always pretend that they're looking at me, and I don't need them to be real, but I'm going to make them because they are looking at me and they're like, dude, this guy gets it. It's no different than if I was to watch an ant and I was to place a piece of candy, a Jolly Rancher, at the end of the picnic table, but across this stick. And just watch the ant go, oh my God, he's going over the stick. Oh, he turned around. Fuck. Oh, he just made it. Like, it's like that. If I create the mirage that there's a great work and that there's all these beyonders and that they've noticed that we're running out of time and we have to wake up people more, so we need to find the biggest fraud we can and give him the keys to the government and let him expose that there's no gold, and all it would do is make every single person that's like, I don't want to get up, like, it's just, there's really no way around it. And this is good. This is the garden opening up. So all these evil people are, man, they're doing more good than you and I. They're ultimately pollinating more. And I just told you how to turn a chemtrail into a rainbow. I just showed you that. Because now I don't look up to the people that are on the bottom anymore. I don't look up to the people that are like, oh, I don't have an ego anymore because I took it out and I flogged it in public. And then after everyone told me it was great, then I flogged it again. And I'm earned it because I'm more Olympically making a less footprint than you are. This is the race, right? I'm not going to touch a thing. That I'm going to go into this forest and leave only footprints Like, this is fucking sick. This is a mental fucking disorder. Because you're thinking that you're not a part of the forest. Then you're invigorating yourself with the idea that somehow you're a foreign alien, that you're an invader that's destroying the sanctity of what was natural because you went there. This is showing you the gross psychosis that is surrounding every fucking cannibal that you call your friend. You call them your friends. Oh, there's a lot of hands up. I'm sorry. I mean, great. I just forgot to look over. Go ahead.
There are a lot of hands up. I know we have Saturn. Your hand's still up. I didn't know if you wanted to continue or if we can move on to Sean. We also have Brad's hand up. So yeah, let's. What do you say, Saturn? You want to continue on that, or are you good? You're good. Okay. Looks like. Hey, Sean, you wanna add something real quick?
Oh, sure. I was just gonna bring up the idea of the Chiro, or the idea that, basically some people interpret the Bible as like Jesus is some kind of time traveler or some kind of and I think of this as kind of like the Seder Square, that there's like this interesting Templar sort of puzzle that's kind of recently been solved, and it sort of shows how there's like, it's like the axis mundi. There's two poles in our being, and we're kind of being drawn to the two. So my question was always like this thing I always used to state was that you are the I between pi and phi, or phi. And then, so the idea, the letter I kind of being the removable, the H actually brings in the Hegelian dialectic. So this is just the way I perceive it. So on one hand, you have the observation of the Hegelian dialectic, and on the other, you have the imagination. So it's harmony and imagination. Mm-hmm. And so when you take this idea, it's kind of like we're in this loop over and over and over and over and over again. Part of us has already done this, been this quantum experience before, but we're always able to interject now, or interject now. So there's those two crossover places, and it seems like I'm always trying to figure out if I can find someone who can explain this better to me, because I feel like I'm onto something, and I know that others are too. So that's why I just want to know more about it. How do we tap into that?
Well, I feel like I would just be repeating myself to say that I think ultimately comfort is, if you want to digest food, you have to be safe. You have to feel safe. And every time if you watch on TV when they interrogate someone, they offer them food, but there's no way they're not going to be able to digest that. They're not you cannot digest food and be in an interrogation room. You could if you really needed to go to jail and you finally got there because you stole a car, because you just finally felt that you deserved to taste consciousness. So you stole the car. And then you also felt that you deserve to be punished, because even though you wanted to taste consciousness, you don't quite deserve it yet. And so you steal a car. And so it accomplishes all those things together, and you epigenetically create a footprint that you can recover from in 3 more lifetimes. Your grandson, will remember that, what you did and all the suffering that you did. And he'll use that as a ladder to get out of the pool and to step into something else. So you have to look at the maladaptation as such a crucial part of everywhere you go. Are you comfortable enough to digest food means, can I shut down all my defenses long enough to open the gates and let the city breathe for a while, because it eats oxygen of freshness. Your gut lumen it's only drinking if it's safe. This is why a lot of people are fat, me included. You inflame because you don't digest. If you're putting food inside you and you're not in a parasympathetic state, you've got a problem. Luckily, your Taurus doesn't trust you. It thinks you're a fucking idiot, because you are. So it just passes a lot of stuff. If you think about every autoimmune disease, Crohn's disease, all kinds of digestive disorders, I think that you're looking at demons in the psyche. I mean this holographically. These are holographic projections, chemtrails on the surface of your skin. You scratch them sometimes. Your skin itches and you scratch it. There's something more there, but you don't have the appetite to accept that you're your own ball and that's thunder inside of this other cosmos, and you could look at all the tardigrades on your skin and watch their war and all the rebelling they do, and they think you've forsaken them because you have, because your witness isn't penetrating them yet. They're having to survive on their own, so they're having to build their own lies and do their own stuff. You're the same. This is how you tap into it, because you already both the last discussions we've had were about resonance. So find the resonance. Find the resonance. I'm in pain right now. Okay, where's the resonance in that? This isn't a flaw. This is where you're at. Do you want to find the resonance? Find the resonance in that. So and we do. We do. We find comfort in it. So all the pain is opportunities to find this place to digest. But I don't think consciously most of us are even in a parasympathetic state where our consciousness can truly digest something. We're too afraid. This is the amygdala. We're too afraid, and we need terror. We need terror to open us up. Osama bin Laden is, what a great way to open up baby boomers. Like, just, wait, you mean just only takes one guy? I thought we got a huge army. Look at all of them. They're all wearing the same shirt. What do you mean one guy? What's it with box cutters? Fuck you. Box cutters? There's a lot of box cutters around here. We don't register box cutters. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need to anally probe each other in the TSA. We have alien stories of anal probes. Guys, remember I was telling you about, if you look at your sexual fetishes, if you look at the psyche of the world, what's allowed, what's not allowed. The language, everybody's saying, oh, that's gay. It's fine, by the way, but I'm saying this is giving you information. None of it's wrong. None of it's fucked up. It just smells bad to you because you're not a vet. You don't deal with a lot of elephant poop. But, if you start studying elephant, you're gonna go, my God, this elephant poop's fascinating. You're gonna compare it with others. You're gonna take pictures, right? And all of you're gonna be like, this is the best elephant poop I've ever seen. And everyone else is gonna think you don't understand anything. And you don't, because you no longer have the aversion to elephant poop, so you're not hallucinating the same thing. It's a different thing. Now you're just in the capillaries, You're not learning anything anymore.
Oh gosh, the elephant poop. Oh, hey, yeah. Hey Sean, let's go ahead and take another from Sean. It's been really fun connecting with your content tonight. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, I was just going to bring up another thing I thought of that I really wanted to talk about. So I listen to your show a lot, James, because I'm looking to try to trigger these events from happening. Because to me, the synchronistic states are pretty much always, they speak to harmony. They speak to my existence here, and I find beauty in everything that way. So it's like a really interesting tapestry that's a delicate balance from the imagination as it meets harmony, because I believe that, I've actually taken a lot of numerological aspects of my life and kind of identified with certain numbers. So when I see numbers, it triggers these psychosomatic responses, and you've been talking about that a lot lately. But one of the things I thought I'd just bring up, because it actually happened. That's the thing. I think that if somebody just does these things unconsciously, then they don't even have to tell anybody or bring it up. But I'm bringing it up because I actually want to know, why the heck can this even happen? right? So I'm creating cacophony, like beyond synchronicity, because I've tapped into synchronicity so many times. I've actually seen myself demonstrate, random acts of miracle, we'll call it, right? For example, there was, chemtrails constantly around me all the time. And one day I was just like, I told my wife, I'm like, Stacy, like if we believe this and everything we've listened to, then we should be able to just turn it off, right? Like, so I cast it out and I said, not in my reality. And I literally pointed my hand at the sky. There were two planes in the sky creating a chemtrail at that exact moment. And then they stopped midstream, like to my command, right? Like only my wife and I could see it. So, everybody else can just think I'm crazy. But if I wasn't telling this audience, I would probably have a harder time doing so. But the reality is that they stopped on my command. And I got so much prana from that. Like I got so much power that I actually started to believe that maybe there's no chemtrails in my town. Like maybe where I live, they just don't come around here anymore. And so I started to create a world where they don't exist here anymore. Like I honestly don't see them. And if I do see them, I'm actually going back to, what am I doing wrong? Why did I wake up on the wrong side of the bed today? What happened? Because the fact of the matter is that I was interplaying with this at some level. I did see it before. I did see it stop, and it happened under observation. So this is beautiful. It's makes anyone speechless, if you will. But I'd like to be able to do that all the time. I mean, I actually mined 13 Bitcoins back when they first were a thing, right? Like 2012. I could have been rich right now. But like you said, being rich could actually break me too. Like, I mean, could have went the other way. But that's led me into so many synchronistic events that's occurred in my life. Things that they're so far beyond my scope of understanding. Like I sold these two ASIC miners that I had to a guy. And then like about 2 or 3 days later, I'm walking around and someone, says to me, the company I used to work with and Bitcoin. And they looked me directly in the eyes. And I know for a fact that the person that said it, they didn't know why they said it. But at that moment, it's as though I'm tapping into a reality that he doesn't even know about. And anyhow, this is the type of experience that I have a lot when I'm watching this show. It's like it's taking me over the Joseph Campbell kind of experience where I'm going into mythos, and by exploring that realm, we tap into all kinds of things. I
think what you're saying also accounts for why people can also end up with a really harsh perspective on me and on listening to me too. If you understand that you regulate with everyone around you, then your hallucination actually needs permission from the prana economy in the room. And your wife, Stacy, you have more co-permission. So you're going to see the same chemtrails a lot easier than someone who you just met on the street if you ask them, because those are two different hallucination bubbles that haven't been around each other long enough for the regulation to take place where all the ion channels align, because there's an agreement of, well, your reality seems to be okay, so I'm gonna believe you and you're gonna believe me. And this is just how it's uncomfortable for you to be around someone that doesn't believe in your same cosmology as you. I don't mean you personally, Sean, but like everyone, it's uncomfortable for us. We look for harmony because we're looking for solidity in our hallucination. We don't want to be called schizophrenic. We don't want to be told that the shadow isn't there. We don't want it to be a shadow. We want it to have skin. We want it to have hair. We want the eyes to be white. We want the entire picture to be there, and we're going to need help to do it. So we've asked our mothers, can you tell me what skin looks like? And mother says, yeah, sure. Grandmother told me it looks like this, and great grandmother told me it looks like this. And so skin is such a perplexing thing because it's full of light. And we all see it as a certain way, but really we're just hallucinating the smell of your skin breathing. That if you really understood what you really look like, you're a constant puffer. You're like your pores are doing that. Your pores are doing that. And they're doing that like a reef, and that's causing all the air outside of your body, what you think is outside, to move and come in and leave and come in and leave and come in and leave. And this gives you thermal cooling. You can shiver if you want, and you can create a reef of air, of warm air, which is just consciousness. That's all it is. It's consciousness because you sacrificed red blood cells to give those air consciousness. And their consciousness is very simple. All you have to do is keep heat. That's all consciousness is. A duck is the down is conscious. The duck is that. This is what warm-blooded means. It's a focus of consciousness in a certain way, in a certain area. This means because you symbiotically need other people to back your hallucination, that you're really going to pick your friends before you know that you pick your friends. You're not going to be conscious of all the decisions that you've already made. In my opinion, you're not going to be conscious of all the decisions that you've made that have reaffirmed your belief or your disbelief in something. You need eggs, and they're not going to let you in the grocery store if you can't hold your shit straight while you go in there and take the eggs and check out and give them money. And it's your driver's license. All this shit's hard. Your seatbelt, and then there's like numbers on the side of the fucking road, and you have to match the number on the sign with the number on your thing. But then there's a giant X. That doesn't mean stop. That just means there's a train, but you keep going, and you're just like, what is this retard forest you're in? And the only way you could ever survive is that you would have to give yourself all of your ion channels to the community, so you're already their slave. I mean this in a good way, but they trust you because you're helpless. They trust you because you're helpless. This is what civilization means. This is why we muted our olfactory and said, I don't want to smell anymore, because we could not live together if we understood the truth, if we knew how powerful we were, how much we affect each other's bubble. That's all the country is. It's just a giant competition for hallucinations. And we've been doing it so long, we're rendering more because we have a higher resolution, which means we're rendering things more accurately. I didn't say better, though. It's just it's more evolved, like a fashion. The fashion is never true. The fashion's always typically a tangent of where it was. What if truth is just that? A vector of where it was. Then there's no point in arguing over whose. I mean, maybe there's a point, but it's the arguing is a dance. It's a dance. And so when I'm talking to people and I'm suggesting things about chemtrails, I'm regulating on a psychic level, and sometimes people get really mad because I destroy their chemtrails. People get mad because I destroy their chemtrails. There's a lady I saw, really personable, high charisma, really getting a lot of traffic, and she's telling you that she used to work for Elon Musk, and the veil has been lifted from her eyes, and she sees the truth of who he is, and she just keeps talking about how he said this, then he did this, and he's this, and he's this, and really systematically cutting him apart, and at the same time being very honest with herself about her own failings and how much she believed and how much it hurt because she did it. And I'm like, wow, this is like me with Building 7. This is like me with law school. And I said, wait a minute, the whole world's doing this. And you flip the channels, the proverbial channels, and it's, I hate my job. I hate my job. And that's the sound of growth. That's the sound of I deserve more. And the sound of I deserve more is a berry that wasn't there before. You have calories now. You want to attract something more, and you think, I dream that a deer will poop me 300 miles from here. And a flower just grew feet. It grew feet by symbiotically being digested. There's a key word. Guys, this is the key word. It was digested by something that could walk. Your magic is in someone else's belly just as much as their magic is in yours. We eat each other because it's the only hallucination that fits the idea of two chemicals in the same solution meeting each other. Like, that's how we process it. It's more fun than sometimes it feels, you know? It is. Let's hear a song here. I want to find it. Here it is. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. I didn't mean for that to get all muted out there, but yeah. We've reached our destination. Thank you for flying the friendly skies. Let me know what you think about the time and the show and whatnot. If you like these, we can do them again. Yeah, we'll just try it out. Also, I'll be traveling over the next 2 weeks, and one of the reasons why I was doing this now is me being traveling. I'm going to need to do something a little bit closer to this kind of format for a while. So I love doing the daily show. Really look forward to bringing that too when I get back. But as I've said, we're going to Portland, Oregon. We're going to do a Plato's Salon. You guys are welcome to come. Check tickets on my website there. Then I think there's a link up there somewhere that you should be able to find. But yeah, it's on 369 day, and it should be a good time. Thank you, Emil. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, this is the Airship. Maybe a new format for us. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna. If anyone wants to unmute, if anyone over here wants to unmute and say any final words, don't. Yeah, go ahead.
I will unmute. Wow, that was a great flight. Thanks you everyone for joining us in the green room and everyone out there in chat. Thanks, James. We took quite a long voyage tonight. We really covered some ground.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they should be. You know, I get lost. I was gonna play a song and then the conversation was so music of its own. You know, so yeah, it's always looking for. Well, who knows?
Just
right?
going with the flow, just going with the flight. You know, see how we go. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you here. You guys have a great night.
Yeah, you guys want to unmute and say goodbye? You can. Great to be here.
Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Next time. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm going to play us out on one more song that just to wait a minute. You guys are still there, yeah. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for making this possible. You guys next time bring calls, questions, join Patreon, and you can do that for free. Then you can get the invites and things like that. Yeah, and I want to play this final song. You guys have a great night. Thank you much.